Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between high mountains and a deep forest, there lived an old blacksmith named Elias. His workshop stood at the edge of the village, where the sound of his hammer striking metal could be heard late into the night. The villagers respected Elias, not just for his skill but for the warmth he brought to their lives. Yet few knew the secret he carried, a secret tied to a flame that never went out. Many years ago, when Elias was a young man, he had been chosen by the village elders to guard the eternal flame. This was no ordinary fire. It had burned for centuries in a hidden cave deep in the forest, and legend said that as long as the flame lived, the village would prosper. But one winter, a terrible storm struck. The winds howled, and snow buried the paths. Elias, brave but reckless, tried to reach the cave to ensure the flame still burned. He slipped on the ice and fell, hitting his head. When he woke, he could not remember where the cave was. The years passed, and the village slowly changed. The people forgot about the eternal flame, and Elias never spoke of it again. He became a blacksmith, shaping iron and steel. But deep inside he felt an emptiness, a fire that had once burned within him but had been lost. One evening a traveler came to the village. He was an old man with a long gray beard and eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. He went straight to Elias' workshop and stood silently as the blacksmith worked. Finally, the stranger spoke. "Your fire has grown weak," he said. Elias looked up, startled. "What do you mean?" he asked. The old man smiled. "The flame you once guarded still burns, but it fades. If it dies, so will the spirit of this place." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. Memories he had buried long ago stirred inside him. He dropped his hammer. I don't remember the way," he admitted. The old man nodded. "The path is hidden, but not lost. You must find it before the last ember fades." That night, Elias could not sleep. He stepped outside and looked toward the forest, where shadows danced in the moonlight. Taking a deep breath, he walked into the trees, guided only by instinct. The forest was silent, as if holding its breath. Branches brushed against him, and roots seemed to shift beneath his feet, but he pressed on. Hours passed, and just as doubt began to creep into his mind, he saw a faint glow between the trees. His heart raced as he pushed through the undergrowth and found himself standing before the mouth of a cave. Inside, the eternal flame flickered weakly, its light dimmer than he remembered. The air was thick with sorrow, as if the fire itself mourned its forgotten guardian. Elias knelt before the flame, tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never meant to leave you." He reached out, hesitating, then placed his hands near the dying fire. A warmth spread through his fingers, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. The flame trembled, then grew brighter, as if recognizing him. The old traveler appeared beside him, watching in silence. "It was never the flame that needed guarding," he said. "It was the memory of its light in the hearts of men." Elias understood then. The flame was more than fire. It was hope, courage, the spirit of the village. And though it had been forgotten, it had never truly died. From that night on, Elias returned to the cave often, feeding the flame with wood and stories of the village. The people noticed a change in him. His work became more vibrant, his voice stronger. Slowly, whispers of the eternal flame spread, and the villagers began to remember. They came to the cave, bringing offerings and songs, and the fire grew ever brighter. Years later, when Elias was very old, he stood before the flame one last time. He knew his time had come, but he was not afraid. The traveler, now a constant companion, stood beside him. "You have done well," the old man said. Elias smiled. "The flame will never be forgotten again." And so, when Elias closed his eyes for the final time, the fire burned on. The villagers kept the tradition alive, passing the story from generation to generation. They called it the forgotten flame that still burns, a reminder that even when hope seems lost, its light never truly fades, It only waits to be found again. And so, dear listener, if you ever find yourself in that village, and if you listen closely on a quiet night, you might hear the soft crackle of a fire deep in the forest, and you will know some flames are eternal. They live not in wood or coal, but in the hearts of those who keep their light alive. The end.